Welcome to Freedom Equity Group and the New World of Money. Hi, my name is Al Carty, and I want to thank you for tuning in to this very important presentation. You're watching this video for one of two reasons. Either you're looking to replace or generate an additional income stream, or you're interested in the latest, most innovative financial products that can provide not only a blanket of security for you and your family, but also substantial tax savings. What you'll see in here is a concept that impacts people that you can be passionate about. A smarter, more complete way to save money with higher income, more benefits, and tax-free. A multi-trillion-dollar business that pays billions to producers, and how you can make up for lost time and lost earnings. Are you where you thought you were going to be 10 years ago? Most people say no to that question. You're living in the kind of house, or are you financially where you thought you would be 10 years ago? Well, there's reasons for that. If you look at statistics today, on average of 100 Americans reaching ages 65 to 69, 27 have actually died. And only 4 have incomes of more than $45,000. There has to be a better way. Now, most people in America today need to make more money. That's clear. Income is down $5,000 per family. There are 242 million adults over the age of 18 in America. Of these, only 49%, scary, have full-time employment, and most of them don't like their job. That means 51% of the adult Americans with only a part-time job or no job at all. FEG will help change America's future. See, most people bought into what we call the deception of the corporate dream. Well, how does that work? Well, we go to high school and college so we can get a good job, right? We get a job and we help someone else achieve their dreams by building their business. Then what happens? Your company decides they don't need you anymore. Wouldn't it make more sense to control your own destiny? Anytime you evaluate a business, there's 3 things you have to consider. Is there a market for the product or services? Is there money to be made? And of course, can I do it? I believe all these questions will be answered for you today in this presentation. So how big is our market? Well, there's over 200 million people in need of common sense financial solutions. You know, there's 82 million millennials. There's 46 million Generation X's, 77 million baby boomers, and yes, over 40 million seniors. Most people today, most college graduates today have no jobs. 23 million people are out of work. 47 million plus people on food stamps. See, everyone needs to make more money, and we have solutions for every one of these marketplaces. Now, this starts with our leadership. When you look at our executive leaders here, from our chairman to our president, you'll see close to 100 years of experience in the financial industry. So we have experienced leadership with an experienced and proven track record. See, with Freedom Equity Group, it's all about freedom. Our crusade is to build financial freedom for every American family. So we want to show Americans how to save, grow, and retire, all tax-free with living benefits, therefore providing financial freedom. So we talk about our crusade. There are a lot of problems we have in this country, but there are 3 that we actually can have an impact on. Number 1, 70% of people who were diagnosed with a heart attack, stroke, or cancer did not die. If you get sick, who will pay the bills? Number 2, most of our country's retirement savings are in banks, precious metals, real estate, the stock market, and basically qualified plans. A large percentage of that money could be lost to risk, fees, and taxes. And number 3, probably the most alarming of all, is 44% of American families cannot meet their financial obligations. Is it getting any better? See, we have solutions. Problem number 1, every year over 6 million people are diagnosed with a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. 70% of those people will not die. That's a good thing. More than half, however, will go bankrupt in the process. Many will not be able to go back to work. The fact is, if you get sick and can't go to work, who'll pay your bills? See, even if you have health insurance and or life insurance, those are all good. Doctors and hospitals mostly get paid, but who pays the mortgage? Who makes the car payment? How do you pay your health insurance? What about college tuition? And no, I don't know about your family, but my family likes to eat every day. In fact, 3 to 4 times a day. Who would pay for those things? See, today, having a critical illness has replaced the fear of death. Pretty scary. So what do? We offer people 4 living benefits. One is critical illness. Millions who suffer heart attack, stroke, or cancer, we have a solution for them financially. Chronic illness, long-term care alternatives. Terminal illness, that's less than 2 years to live. And the ultimate is a tax-free retirement. What if I live? In fact, most people do, so that needs to be taken care of. So in our opinion, that is the ultimate living benefit. So our solution, life insurance you don't have to die to use. What does that mean? Well, traditional life insurance pays if you die, right? They probably should have called it death insurance, but it was bad PR, so they called it life insurance. That basically provides a tax-free death benefit if you were to die prematurely to your family. Well, in addition to that, we provide what we call a no-cost critical, chronic, and terminal illness rider, which basically says if you get sick and do not die, you can still get paid. And ultimately, we can provide you with a tax-free income for life. So we protect your family all 3 ways. So does it work? Well, here's an example. Johnny was 48 years old when he replaced his 20-year term with a new 20-year term with living benefits. The new plan was less expensive than the old one. 5 months into the policy, Johnny was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. He and his wife could not work. We made a difference. Johnny got a check for $344,000, and that certainly took a lot of the financial stress off his life at that point. What about Dr. Jonathan, who bought an index universal life policy for the tax-free distribution, and living benefits was secondary? Dr. Jonathan only paid 1 month of premiums before he was diagnosed with throat cancer. He's already completed treatment, is now back at work, recommending this to all his friends and other doctors. We made a difference. Dr. Jonathan received a check over $734,000. Still alive today. Problem number 2, qualified plans such as IRAs, 401ks. A large percentage of your money could be lost to risk fees and taxes, resulting in the majority outliving their income. That's a big problem. Say, who will take care of us when we retire? Do we want to depend on the government, who's $18 trillion in debt? How about a company pension? Thing of the past, isn't it? What about IRAs or 401ks, where you have to qualify to get your money out? We like to call it tax prison. How about your children? Are they ready? Can they afford us? The fact is, this baby on the cover of Time magazine could live to be 142 years old. Pretty scary. So the question is, will you be dependent or independent? This chart, if I had one chart to show you in all the things that we do, I like to call this red line, blue line. The red line is indicative of the Standard & Poor's 500 over the last 17 years. And that clearly goes up and down as the stock market does have volatility. The blue line is something we call indexing. So if you had $1 or $1 million to put and you had a choice of one of these 2 lines, which one would you pick? The red line or the blue line? Well, I already know the answer. Everybody picks the blue line. It makes sense, right? There's no losses. Your money can only go up and never goes backwards, as opposed to the volatility in the stock market. So one of the things we do, folks, is we show people how to go from the red line to the blue line. Now, how do we do that? We use multiple strategies, but Warren Buffett, which many of you have heard of, the Oracle of Omaha, arguably the 3rd or 4th richest man in the world, he has 2 rules in investing. The first one is never lose money. The second one is don't forget rule number 1, indexing. You have the upside potential with no downside market risk. Many of you have heard of Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has been one of the great master motivators that this country has seen over the last probably 2 or 3 decades. He wrote a book called Money, Master the Game. Invest like the wealthy, he says, where you participate in market gains but are guaranteed to never lose when the market drops. Doesn't that make sense, folks? So how does it work? Real quickly here. Most people today buy real estate or invest in gold or the stock market. And every time you invest in one of those areas, you pay fees every time you buy something. You pay fees every time you sell something. Now, clearly, these are three parts of our economy that can make a difference in your financial future. Wouldn't it make sense if you could have a piece of the real estate market or the stock market returns or the gold market without the risk, with no downside risk? And yes, it could all be done with no fees and, more importantly, tax-free. This is exactly what we do. Okay. Now, how can it be tax-free? Well, there's 4 phases of retirement planning. The first 2 phases are contribution and accumulation. And in the typical qualified plan, they're tax deductible. Now, that all sounds great, doesn't it? However, when you need the money the most is when you retire. That's when it's fully taxable, or whatever you don't use is fully taxable to your non-spousal heirs. So what's the alternative? We like to call it a tax-free alternative. Do not take a tax deduction today. Allow the money to grow tax-free, but when you need it the most, you have tax-free benefits both now and for your family. So doesn't it make more sense to pay taxes now on the seed versus paying a much higher tax later on the harvest? Of course it does. If you look back to 1929, this chart is indicative of government spending and how it relates to tax rates. If you look back, it goes way back to 1929. You'll notice right around 1944, 1945, that was right after World War II or during World War II, you'll notice that government spending was really high, and so were the tax rates. You'll also notice that over time, that tax rate came down as well as government spending. Well, where are we today? You can see tax rates are lower, government spending is higher. Where do taxes have to go? They have to go up. In fact, according to David McKnight, he says, according to the Congressional Budget Office, if things go unchanged, a 10% tax bracket would rise to 25%. 25 to 63, and 34.9 would rise to 88. Now think about that, folks. 34.9 when he wrote this book was the highest marginal bracket. That's already changed. It's now up to 39.6, so it's already happening. So what's the solution? Our solution is index universal life and annuities, the greatest wealth accumulation and wealth preservation vehicles of our time. That's why we call it the new world of money. Now, to demonstrate this to you, I like to talk about a tale of 2 brothers. You've got, 2 brothers, both age 35, both saving $300 a month after tax, both earning 8% interest rate for the same period of time. Well, brother A does it the traditional way. He puts his money in a qualified plan, while brother B has been educated on index universal life. So let's look at how they come out. Brother A puts $4,800 pre-tax into his 401k, plus an employer match, and he buys an inexpensive term policy to cover just in case he died prematurely, while brother B did not take the 401k option, so he did not have an employer match, put $3,600 post-tax into his index universal life plan with living benefits at no cost. So the totals were brother A put $6,560 of annual contributions, while brother B only put $3,600. So on the surface, you would have to believe that brother A came out better. Well, let's take a look. We go out 30 years, brother A has $706,000. He no longer has his insurance plan because that premium now has gone to $12,000 a year. He saved $36,000 in taxes, so he's got a total of $706,000. Brother B, as we expected, has only $366,000. He still has his index universal life death benefit with living benefits included. He saved no money on taxes. So who came out better? See, it's not how much you have in your account, it's how much you get to use in retirement. You see, brother A has a partner, and that partner is called the government, right? There's taxes due on that money. While as brother B can pull out $67,603 per year for his lifetime. If brother B dies at age 100, he would have received over $2.3 million and still has a death benefit of over $4.7 million for his family. Now, brother A, to keep up with brother B, would have to take out over $90,000. Why? Even in a 25% tax bracket, he'd have to pay back $22,000 in taxes to net the same amount of money of $67,603. So Brother A runs out of money in 9 years. So which brother do you want to be? In fact, we've talked about the problem. 44% of the adult population cannot meet their financial obligations due to economic conditions, while most people are in need of making more money. Well, what if you could earn more money? So here's some questions for you. Number one, if you were brother A, would you want to be brother B? Well, of course you would. And if you knew someone who is brother A, would they want to be brother B? Well, of course they would. What if you, at an entry-level position, once you were trained, could earn up to $1,200 per month just to help someone like brother A and brother B? That's over $14,000 a year. What if you help 2 families a month? That's almost $30,000 a year additional income. So maybe you like your job and you like what you do, but you don't like your pay. Maybe you'd like to buy a new home. Maybe you'd like to send your kids to private schools. Maybe you want to take quality vacations every year. So maybe working with us part-time could help you earn additional money helping other people. See, we like to call it a profit sharing program where you can start early on as a trainee and earn as much as $1,200 to help one family. But we also have positions that people can become vice presidents with our company. We like to call them trainers. They earn a whole lot more. And yes, you can even duplicate your efforts. If you're willing to help other people, you can earn additional money in the process. So how does this all play out? What if you were working with us part-time and you became a vice president with us, okay? And you help just 2 families a month. If you'll notice there to the right, that's $56,000 of income just to help 2 families a month at the vice president level. Now, what if you had a small business and you engage 4 other people to work with you? Maybe they're working part-time and you're willing to be their trainer. You could earn an additional $34,000 a year in that example for a total of $90,000 of annual income. Well, that sounds pretty substantial, doesn't it? What if you built a little stronger business and you're actually able to help 10 families a month? Now you became what we call a regional vice president, and you're helping 1 family a week, but your business is helping 10 families a month. Look at that income, folks. That's $172,000 a year. And for the big thinkers that are watching this presentation, what if you had the opportunity to duplicate your efforts with other people and conceivably build a 7-figure income? Now, I'm not trying to over promote this, folks. I believe earning an extra $20,000 or $30,000 a year part-time is pretty significant for most families in America today. But isn't it nice to know that there is an opportunity that would allow you to earn a 7-figure income? Whether or not you're good enough or you're able to achieve that is irrelevant. The fact that the opportunity exists is pretty substantial. Wouldn't you agree? In addition to the compensation we have, our company offers an equity share opportunity. Now, I'm not going to get into all the details of this with you on the video, but here's what I will share with you, okay? We are the competition in the financial services arena. We've got all the products, the system, we've got high commissions, our vision, our opportunity, and future leadership. So why just work for commissions when you can have a share of the company? Pretty substantial. Last but not least, how does this all happen? See, this is your chance to be part of a revolution in one of the largest industries in the world. See, we operate in a $7.3 trillion industry. There are over 470 billion new premiums paid every year. What does that tell you? That tells you that we're working with existing dollars. So what we do is we're repositioning what people are already spending to get them more value, better returns with no risk, and yes, all tax-free. So how big is big? FEG makes big business simple. How do we do that? We have a system. We have a turnkey system as well. The system is proven, predictable, duplicable, and it has been for decades. You never talk to strangers or go into a stranger's home. You never make cold calls. You never run out of qualified prospects. It's a turnkey system. How do we do that? One of the ways we do that is we embrace technology. You know, Bill Gates says there's 2 types of companies. One that has a website and those that are out of business. Well, we build your identity. When you come on board with Freedom Equity Group into our training program, we'll actually build your own identity by giving you a replicated site that looks just like this here, that gives you opportunities to share quality videos like you're watching right now with other people. So you don't have to be the message, you can just be the messenger of where the information is. We also have all company approved training and marketing materials. You don't have to invent everything. It's already been done for you. What you need to do is just plug into what's already there, okay? Last but not least, and I know wouldn't be the primary reason why you'd look at our company, but we do recognize your efforts in a very positive way. Besides the compensation and the training, coaching, and all the things that we do, we actually recognize you for when you achieve higher levels. In fact, you can even see the world with Freedom Equity Group on our quality trips that we run on an annual basis, where you can go to Mexico, or the many trips that are all sponsored by the company. Again, in recognition of your efforts, and here you can see some pictures of people who have qualified to be there. So the FEG story is for everyone. Where do you see yourself? Maybe you see yourself as a client and you learn some things watching this video that says, wow, this has been earth-shattering. I've never heard about living benefits before. I'd like to find out how I can have tax-free income down the road, participate in market-like returns without the downside risk. Of course, we'd be happy to help you with that. Maybe you see yourself earning some extra income. As I said, maybe you like what you do, but you don't like your income. And if you could earn an extra $20,000 or $30,000 a year part-time, that would really help your family. Of course, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. And some of you, maybe like myself, when I first got involved in the business over 30 years ago, that I really wanted to do something special with my life. And I didn't want to just work for somebody else and build somebody else's company. I wanted to have the opportunity to control my own destiny. Well, there was no way I was going to do that unless I had some help. And I fortunately was mentored by somebody in this business many years ago that taught me how I could build a significant income and I could have the freedom for my family that I truly wanted, which was to control my own destiny. See, we say be in business for yourself, not by yourself. Most companies, that's a tagline. At Freedom Equity Group, that's a fact. So what's the next step for you? First and foremost, get back with the person who invited you to watch this video. Set up a one-on-one meeting in the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm sure you'll have questions. Let's get those questions answered for you. Learn about our training programs. Let's see how much time you can devote to our business and what your income potential would be for doing that. And last but not least, it may sound a little corny to some people listening to this here, but look, I want to dare you to dream again. In fact, I want to dare you to dream big again. You know, we're not meant to just go out there and build somebody else's company and work for wages. There are opportunities for us to do something spectacular with our life on a financial basis. So I encourage you to dream again and determine why you would like to make some extra income. What impact would that have on your family if you made an extra $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 a year? Or if you had the ability to cash in on your job and be self-employed and really do something and have the freedom to do the things you want to do with your family or anyone else for that matter. I want to challenge you to dream again and dream big. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening in.